Hello, 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 sheepdogs. This episode is really all about to inform you about what's going on. Um, I have a lot of announcements to make, and I have a lot of things to tell you. So, we are going to be changing, evolving, transitioning. If you've been with me from the beginning, then you know that my podcast is really become like my journal. It's really become essentially an extension of me and has followed me through um, my journey, my transformations in law enforcement, through not being in law enforcement, and through business and getting back into law enforcement and all of that. And we have gone through a few phases. When I first started this podcast, it was called Sheepdog Nation. And I still refer to my followers as Sheepdog Nation. But what I found out probably a year into that podcast was, unfortunately, that is the name of a Facebook group on, I think, a business who's doing amazing things. And I did not want to step on their toes. I didn't realize that was taken. I didn't realize it was a business. And so I was like, shit, I need to do something. They never said anything to me. I know that they trademarked Sheepdog Nation for other things. They never trademarked a podcast name. So I definitely didn't infringe on that, just to give you that heads up. But I didn't like that. Like, I just really believe that we're all on the same team. And I was like, shit. So when I found out, I transitioned, and I transitioned into what I felt at the time was me, and it was me. And that's the Intuitive Sheepdog, which is what the most recent name of the podcast became, was the Intuitive Sheepdog. And I want to tell you that that's still a part of me, and I still have the Intuitive Sheepdog Club, and I've changed a lot of lives under the Intuitive Sheepdog, and I love that. I love that brand. I love the name. I love it all, really. But I am transitioning, and I'm evolving. Um, and I am changing the name of the podcast. And I have to tell you, I've known that I was going to do this for over a month. I probably have known it for longer than that. It has become very real to me within this last month. And it has been very difficult for me to face. It has been very difficult for me to do and to deal with, because so not only obviously am I a police officer and I'm this and I'm that, I've also been in business for the last 5 years. Since 2015, I've been in business. I've hired several business coaches. I've taken lots of marketing courses. I know a lot about business and marketing and branding, and I had to make a decision. and and my decision, and so here's what makes me me, and here's what makes me different than a lot of people. Um, I had to make a decision. Was I going to listen to the, successful people on marketing and branding? Was I going to listen to like what the techie people say and what I should do in order to maintain and this and that? Or was I going to just follow my gut? And that's really where I've been for the last month. I've definitely been quiet. My social media, everything has really kind of slowed down for me, because I have been going within. I've been really doing deep reflection for myself. The coronavirus has helped me to spend a lot of time on the inside, if that makes sense. A lot of things in my world have slowed down as well, I'm sure, just as yours. Um, which is, people can say what they want, but for me, it's been not that different. We live in the woods. I literally live off a dead end, in the freaking woods. I sit on like several acres. I, have trees all around me. As I'm recording this, I'm literally looking at trees. Can't see my neighbor's house from our house, from our yard. We're very lucky, very blessed to be where we are. My husband does not work for a city. He works for state police. And so his patrol, he has some sort of control over the contact that he has. And so, we've been lucky. I'm not in a lot of fear over the coronavirus. And so I know it's like kind of like a side note, but I have been able to reflect. I've been able to calm down and reflect. And this, I'm telling you all of this because one, I feel like I owe it to you. I definitely feel like I owe it to you. You've been with me. You have watched me grow. You've been with me as I've grown. I love you for that. I love how supportive you have been for me and how you've had my back and how you've supported what I'm putting out in the world, because this really is such a part of me. My podcast really is my baby. It really is. It's something that I love and I cherish. And so I'm telling you all of this because I owe it to you, but also because, as I always do, I always tell you what's going on in my life because I want you to reflect on it for you. I want you to reflect. I want this time to be a time for you to go within and ask yourself the hard questions and reflect and do the things. You don't have to rush right now. There's no rush for anything. There's no rush. It really is like taking this time to reflect. It really, I mean, a lot of us don't even have that choice. There's a lot of people out there that do not have they don't get to go to work, like sheepdogs do, and they don't get to get paid like we do right now. If you're a first responder, if you are a sheepdog, if you in any capacity, there's a lot of money to be made right now. A lot of money to be made. And so I think that we have to count our blessings that way. But anyways, so during this time of really going in and reflecting on what I've been doing and what's been going on, there's been a lot of change. There's a lot of change behind the scenes that I have not really shared with you. And to be honest, I have felt a lot of fear, just a lot of fear, a lot of scariness, a lot of uncertainty. And I can say that I'm sure during this time, for a different reason, you have felt those feelings as well. And so, um, I have sat down to do this podcast several times in the last month, but I have not been able to. Today, I feel aligned. I feel the energy is right, and I feel this is now the time to kind of just talk with you about it. So here I am. The intuitive sheepdog, I just want to tell you, it's not done. That's still going to be a part of my brand. I'll still refer to you guys as Sheepdog Nation. To me, that's what you guys are. I love the term sheepdog because it encompasses everybody who is out there serving and protecting in any capacity. That's why I love the term sheepdog. I got a little shit a couple weeks back on Instagram for using that term because there's some people out there who feel like we're a bunch of tool bags because we use that term. I use the term to encompass all of us. Like, that's just it. And so I didn't take that much offense. I laughed. I really did. I laughed about it, but that's not really going away. I'm going to continue to do some things around that. I've really been able to kind of trademark what I've been doing for my company has really been changing sheepdogs, first responders, people who are out there doing the thing. I've really been able to change a lot of lives by getting in and helping people mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Really, like, that's really what I've been able to do. I've had, just amazing results with it, which I had when I was coaching women and entrepreneurs, and then I started coaching women spiritually. And the process that I've developed, because I went through all that shit, really is life-changing. That's not going to change. Doesn't matter who the fuck it is. It's life-changing for all of us. My passion is serving, my passion really is serving sheepdogs, first responders, cops, specifically because I am you are me, and the culture needs to change. Which leads me into what is next. So I've been saying, if you go back and you listen to anything and everything I've ever said, the thing is my purpose in life really is about changing the culture. It really is about changing the culture. Specifically right now, I'm focusing on changing the culture in law enforcement. I'm hoping in 5 years, I'm going to be able to expand and change all first responders cultures and be able to really change the cultures across the board for, military and nurses and doctors and, correctional officers and dispatchers and firefighters and EMTs, and just really be able to get in there and change the culture for all of us, because we are really facing a time where, 20 years ago, we were some of the most decorated people and had a really amazing career. That is no longer the case. People do not like us. They do not support us. And because the people don't, our own administrations aren't. And I've seen that. I've experienced it over and over. I see it over and over and over again. When we hear about a chief that is supporting their officers, it really, it's this kind of a new thing. It kind of makes us like fall back a little bit and take a step back and be like, whoa, it's very few and far between. My gut, my heart, my head tells me it's not because chiefs don't want to. My gut and my heart and my head tell me it's because chiefs don't know how. Administrations literally don't know how. Okay. They don't know how because they're coming, they just don't know how. And so my mission, my purpose, my goal has never really changed. I'm just refocusing, and it really is about getting in there and changing the culture. That's really what I want to do. And I'm always going to be for the boots on the ground cops, always, because that's what I was. I mean, I still am technically. Yeah, I'm always going to be for that boots on the ground, officer. But I feel like I'm going to be much more successful in changing the culture if I can help administrations, if I can get in there and talk to chiefs and, captains and lieutenants and, training, whoever the hell is the training coordinators and HRs, and really get in there and really try to, and create change and do different things and think outside the box to an extent, And so I've been able to work with a local police department. We're starting to get that ball rolling. Then coronavirus hit. I think that we're going to be picking up. I'm hoping we'll be picking up here in a month or two. So, and I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of chiefs and twos and threes and PDs, and I can get their ear, and I think that they really want to change the culture too. They just don't know how. A lot of them don't know how, or they've tried and their attempts have been unsuccessful, and so they just become discouraged, just like all of us, because at the end of the day, they're fucking humans too, right? But I have a plan. I have a process. I have testimonials. I have officers who lives I've changed. I know exactly how. I know exactly what to implement. And so that's kind of what I'm going out there and doing. The podcast is going to be called Changing the Culture because I want to embody all of that. That is something that I've been doing, that I've been talking about right from the beginning. And I no longer feel aligned with Intuitive Sheepdog to be my whole brand. My whole brand is going to be under Autumn Clifford. So you can go to my website, autumnclifford.com, and everything is underneath that. You can email me, autumn@autumnclifford.com, if you need anything. And my Instagram has changed to Officer Autumn because I want everything to be under me. I am my brand. I am an intuitive sheepdog. A lot of you listening are, and you identify as that. And that is a part of the brand. But at the end of the day, I am my brand, and I needed to make that shift. Now, I looked for Autumn Clifford, Autumn.Clifford, Autumn fucking everything Clifford on Instagram. And for some reason, there's a lot of Autumn Cliffords out there. Like, what the hell? And so honestly, Officer Autumn works. That's what everyone's always called me. That's what people call me now. I have, still part-time police officer, still maintaining the credentials, and it works. And it wasn't taken on Instagram. So I was like, fuck it. So you saw that. You may or may not have seen that change, but that is what that is. And so, so that's kind of where we're at. So what I want to talk to you a little bit about is like Intuitive Sheepdog. I just feel like there's some unanswered things, and like people were like, what was that? My time with Intuitive Sheepdog, again, it's still going to be very much a part of my brand. It's going to be underneath my big brand, which is Autumn Clifford. What I want to tell you about that is I want to tell you that was me rebelling. That was me putting myself out there in the most vulnerable way I knew how. I still fully believe that how I can save lives, how I can save lives from suicide, from, being burnt out on the job, from becoming tarnished from the job, is have people connect back to themselves spiritually. I also realize that is definitely not mainstream. And I also realize that a lot of you guys, or not you listening, but there's a lot of people that stopped listening to me and they kind of dropped off and they lost a lot of interest because it was a little too far out there for them. And that's okay. I'm not going to stop that part of me. That's who I am. I still talk to angels. I still channel. I do all the things. I'm sitting here with a fucking crystal in my hand because that's who I am. I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to change that for anybody. What I'm saying is I got out there and I did intuitive sheepdog and I created a brand and a very successful business you know, making money to be able to support myself, teaching cops and sheepdogs spirituality. I did what everybody told me I couldn't do. And I think that was part of like a bit of a rebellious phase for myself. And I was following my heart and I did it and I love it and I loved it and I still love it. And I got to meet some really amazing people, Gabby Bernstein, Nick Ortner, Jessica Ortner. I got to have Amanda Francis, which is my coach. Like I've got to have like a lot of amazing people on my podcast and because of that and stuff like that. But I am ready to just shift a little bit. It's just a shift. It's an evolving, and it's an involvement. It's a transformation. And like I said, I was nervous to do this, and I've been nervous because I'm like, shit. Now everyone's gonna think like, oh, here Autumn is again. And I just want to say to you, like, people can judge me. Totally, you're welcome to it. No, just know that when you judge me, you're actually judging yourself. You're judging something in me. Whatever you're judging in me, you're actually judging something in yourself. And what you should do is ask yourself why the hell you're judging to begin with. I'm not innocent of that. I think that us as cops, like we judge very quickly anyways, because number one, we have to. A lot of times that saves our lives, right? But we need to be careful, we need to be careful, like, are we assessing for a threat or are we just judging to judge? Like there's two different things. I'm very fully prepared for any backlash. And when I say I'm prepared for it, I'm gonna let it roll. I'm gonna let it roll off my shoulders. And I understand if that doesn't flow with you, but like changing the culture is literally what I've been saying all along. It's just a little more mainstream. It just opens my niche up a little bit. It allows me to be able to branch out. It allows me to do the things I really want to do. I want to impact millions of people. I want to change the culture. I'm not going to do that under the term intuitive sheepdog. I don't have a lot of chiefs that were open to that. I didn't have a lot of brands and companies that were really open to that. And that's okay. There's still going to be a part of that in my brand, right? Like for the more spiritual people, more spiritual cops, like I'll have that for you. I'll always have that for you. Like that's never going away. But I want to be able to appeal to more people. And the reason I want to be able to appeal to more people is because I want to reach more people and I want to be able to change more lives. I've realized what my purpose has been, and my purpose really has been about changing the culture. And it started 10 years ago when I got into fucking police work. When I got into police work 10 years ago, I started changing the culture. I started changing the culture by being a fucking woman who took zero shit and could actually take care of herself. I'll never forget when I had just started, hadn't gone to the academy yet. And in Maine, you can work up to 40 hours a week for a year or so without going to the academy. And so I was working and I was employed as a deputy. And I remember there was a big son of a gun who came into the courthouse that I was doing court security. And he was a big dude and he started freaking out in the parking lot. And I didn't know anything. Like we didn't really have I didn't have a ton of training, didn't have like a lot of like standard operating procedures. I just saw this dude causing a problem in the parking lot. And I went out there out of straight reaction, just straight like total like gonna handle this. And this guy, like, he was huge compared to me, like 6 foot something, probably 250 pounds. Like, he was solid, and he was pissed. And and when someone's pissed, a lot of times, like, it can go different places. But I had such command presence and confidence, and I, went out there and I handled my shit, and I handled that guy. He got in his car, no problem, this and that. And I turned around, and like, I had a few different, veteran deputies standing behind me, and they were all like, shit, like, holy shit. Like, we underestimated you, I think, and I'll never do that again. And I was like, what? And they're like, well, and these are veteran officers, right? Like, veteran guys, been 25, 30-year veterans. Guys have been doing police work for a long time, before women in policing was common and even opened and welcomed. And they just told me, they're like, look, like, we're used to, carrying women. We're not totally used to a woman being able to take care of herself. And like, I didn't even call for backup or anything, because like, what the hell? Like, I didn't need backup. In my mind, I was going to crush that guy. I had it all in my head, exactly what I was going to do if that guy if he approached me, and what exactly how I was going to break his fucking knees, kick him between the growing, and probably tase him. Like, that's what I was going to do. And then I'd figure out why after, and articulate it after. But, and so I'm just saying, like, from that point, like, I started working on changing the culture there. I got mixed up in a lot of shit, in this like bullshit love triangle kind of thing where, a married deputy fucking went insane and told his wife he wanted to be with me, and divorced her, and she happened to work for the courts, and like, just this crazy shit. And it had nothing to do with me. The guy's been arrested twice, and he was a deputy, right? Okay, so like, he's insane. But like, I kind of fell into that whole, oh, she's a badge bunny, she's doing this job. Like, I got that rep without really being a badge money. And from that point on, I had to go, and I had to prove it. I had to go prove it that wrong. I had to change the culture. I had to change people's mindsets about me since I've started. And I remember, working at my last PD where I got injured, and I just remember over and over and over, like, I'm going to write a book. I'm going to write a book about this, because this fucking nobody understands. Like, nobody gets it. And I just remember saying it to myself over and over and over again, and telling my mom, and just really talking to God, and being like, okay, like, yep, I get it. Like, I know why I'm here. And it's really not to be a cop. It's really because, to be a cop for a little while, but I know what I'm meant to do now. And then, for the last, I don't know, 5 or so years, like, it gets fucked up. I got fucked up, and like, but here's what I want to teach you. That's life. This is the journey called life. When we're on our path, and then like, we get clear, and then we veer off, and we go and have these other experiences, because we didn't clean up our thoughts. We didn't clean up our vibes. Like, we didn't do the inner work. And so we get way the fuck off on our path. And we have all these experiences, which are great, and they teach us a lot of things, but could have been avoided if you just stayed on the path and did the things that you were supposed to do. But you don't, because of fear, and because, essentially it's just fear and lack of faith in yourself, lack of belief in yourself. And that's what happened to me. And that's okay. It's okay. I'm not judging myself from that. I've had a beautiful experience. And if it wasn't for everything that I've done, I wouldn't be sitting here with you and confident enough to be like, yo, guess what? We're going into season 4, changing the name of the podcast. My Instagram's now Officer Autumn. And this is what we're doing. Like, it took me a long time to be able to be comfortable enough with myself to be able to do the things and be able to publicly be continuously shifting and evolving. I mean, this podcast is over 100 episodes. Like, if you go back and listen to the first 5, you wouldn't even recognize me today. And a lot of people have, and I've got a lot of messages like, yo, like, you were really angry. You swore every other word out of your mouth was, fuck. And not that I don't swear, but I'm definitely a lot less angry, and I'm a lot different than I was back then. And that's okay. That's still who I am. And that's what the beauty of this journey is, right? And I'm doing it publicly. I'm doing it publicly for a reason. The reason is because I want you to see that you are me and I am you. And we're all the fucking same, right? Like we really are on the insides. Like we're all, I'm not going to get spiritual with you, but just we're all the same. And we're on this path and we're on this journey. And again, I just want to say thanks. I know I've been in your ear for the last, 25 minutes now, kind of talking about what's going on, and I'm still gonna have some badass guests, obviously, and I really just feel like this is it, and this is the expansion that's going to happen on this podcast, and in my purpose in for my company for this, what I'm supposed to be doing on this earth is really, this is it. I also want to tell you that I have hired two Leo wives. I have two different assistants. I made a commitment to keeping all of my staff members in the police family, and it feels really good, really, really good to employ members of the Thin Blue Line, and I'm really happy about that, and makes me feel really good. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on this journey with me. If you are bored because you are chilling in your cruiser because you can't go and freaking do anything proactive, you ought to binge this podcast. Even if you're not a cop and you got nothing to do, I'm telling you, this podcast will change your life. It is amazing. The content of this podcast is truly amazing. It's life-changing. I'm really not a bad interviewer. I will say all those interview and interrogation schools and the experience that I've had of interview and interrogation, I was really into drug interdiction. I was pretty damn good at it. I did a lot of things in my career as a my short career as a full-time police officer. I did a lot of things, got to talk to a lot of people, but the thing is that that's really helped me on this podcast. And I ask a lot of questions that I get a lot of compliments on my interview skills. And so, you know what? I own that, and I receive those compliments. And I just want to thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for what's next. I don't know exactly what the next episode will be. I don't really know the exact next step. But keep an eye out on my Instagram at Officer Autumn. I'm probably going to keep my Facebook group as the Intuitive Sheepdog for now. If you're not in there, you're more than welcome to come in. Check out my website, autumnclifford.com. That's going to be changing. My amazing assistant will probably be updating and changing that, doing a little bit of a rebrand just to get the graphics more in line with, what I want you to feel and stuff like that. And we're going to be having programs come out that you really want to pay attention to because they will change your life. And I'm not blowing smoke. And I will tell you, there's a lot of fucking people that are blowing smoke. I don't need to blow smoke. I'm changing lives, and I know what I'm doing when it comes to this, and I know the effects that it can have on people when you do the work. So pay attention because this is about to get super fucking fun, and it's about to be bigger than me, which is it. It's the key to life. Live a life and have your purpose be bigger than you, and you'll live a damn good life. All right, sheepdogs. I just want to take a moment. I want to leave this episode with a prayer, and I think that we could all benefit from a little prayer. So if you have an opportunity to close your eyes, do that. And if you don't, maybe just take a nice inhale, nice deep breath, inhaling through your nose and out through your mouth. Dear universe, God, guides, angels, please protect us. Please be with us as we are on the road, as we are supporting our spouses from home, as we are supporting all first responders on the front lines, all sheepdogs on the front lines during this pandemic, during this crazy time in our lives. Please guide us and allow us to hear our inner beings now more than we've ever. And please give us the strength that we need to endure this time. Sheepdogs, I'll see you next time.